Hello, YouTube, and thank you for joining me today in live stream number 20. I'm just a few minutes early here, I think a couple of seconds maybe. So if you're watching this, you are watching the recording as we're waiting for people to join the live stream. So thank you so much for taking the time to join today's live stream. Today's topic is everything about work planes and axes inside of Fusion 360. I'm not going to show everything, but I'm going to show you definitely what you need to know. I put down in the description if you're a beginner, but even if you are fairly, comfortable around Fusion 360 or any type of CAD, I think you will probably appreciate a few things from this presentation today. So definitely thank you so much for joining. Now, as always, down in the description area is my email address. So send me an email, lars.christensen@autodesk.com, if there's anything you would like to see in these upcoming live streams. So we see we already got a couple of people in the live stream. Thank you so much for taking the time to join today. This is episode 20, so that's exciting. And like I said, we are going to talk about work planes and axes today. So really cool. Thank you for joining. Yes, cool shirt. So today we're gonna try something a little bit different because it's number 20, and you gotta shake it up. So today we're gonna call this Flashy Wednesday. And I'm not even sure that's a good name. I don't even know if we're going to continue doing it. You let me know down in the comments area. And maybe we need a better name. I don't know. But today, I'll roll back here. I am wearing my Run CNC t-shirt. And this is a t-shirt provided by, you will see it down somewhere down here, Fifth Axis, what is a company that makes work holding. So Flashy Wednesday, or whatever we decide to call it, whatever it is a few people have kind of like asked me questions like, is there anything specifically I recommend when it comes to products, or what am I watching on YouTube, and kind of like just, what have I seen that was worth sharing. And I thought that would be kind of cool to do just a little, 2-minute segment in the beginning of a live stream, and then we're going to jump into Fusion afterwards. And this is nothing, I'm not getting paid to do this. I don't really know anybody at 5-Axis per se. I've never bought any of their products. I got the t-shirt at IMTS last year, so that's how I got the t-shirt. I'm sure you can also buy it from their website if you want one. It's kind of a cool t-shirt. So let's just jump into Flashy Wednesday. What I wanted to talk about in regards to Fifth Axis work holding is I came across something that I thought was kind of smart. Don't you love when you see people do something and you think, I wish kind of like I had thought about that. So this goes out to a few people who have smaller CNC milling machines and have a small workspace to work with. And I think Kurt Chan, my buddy Kurt Chan, is one of the guys who have a Fifth Axis vise. So let me just jump over to their website here. Like I said again, they haven't asked me to do this. I'm not getting paid to do this. But they have something, and you can probably use other Fifth Axis work holding than Fifth Axis. But they have something called self-centered vices. And these vices here, they're a little bit different than standard CNC vices. Like I brought up here like a standard Kurt vise, for example. There could be another Kurt vise. Many times when you have smaller CNC machines, you have a problem with the length of it. It's always hanging out outside the work table, the work area. And I've even tried, like I used to run like a Haas mini mill, where I actually one time had to push the vise forward and I banged into the back of it. Let's not talk too much about that. But what I thought was pretty clever that I've seen people do is that they buy these type of vices that are a little bit different, modified, and they are meant for Fifth Axis, where you normally gotta attack a part from different angles. But now suddenly they take up a lot less space than a regular standard vise. So I thought that was kind of a cool thing that somebody had thought about. So yeah, good idea. And like I said, Fifth Axis didn't ask me to do this, but I thought it was be kind of like just a cool 2-minute kind of block that, sometimes when you see people do something, you're like, that's a good idea. And I think these self-centering vices on, like, if you have like a Tormark 440 or something smaller, you have your own CNC machine, that's kind of clever. So that is what Flashy Wednesday is all about. I can't quite tell you what's going to come next time, but we can work on the name. You let me know. All right, let's jump into Fusion here, and let's talk about what actually is today's topic is. What is talking about work planes and axes and things like that. And then we can, I will jump into the chat and just check that. But let's just talk about today's topic. So, and I put down in the description area beginner. And that's not necessarily true, but, if you are fairly new to modeling inside Fusion 360, or any CAD per se, these things are kind of like things you kind of like gotta learn. So, if you go over here, you have a little light, you can turn on these planes. And these planes are kind of like well-defined inside of Fusion, sitting over here, and that's what we normally are sketching on, right? Think of planes very much like a piece of paper. I like to think about it like that. You gotta draw on something, you gotta sketch on something, and these planes are kind of a type of paper. So if I, for example, go in here and use a thing I don't use very often inside of Fusion, there will be a sphere. So let me just go in and draw up a sphere. Okay. Now, with a sphere like this, there's no faces to sketch on. So that is when planes becomes helpful. But of course, the planes that Fusion gave us over here, the standard planes, they're kind of like buried inside of here. So this is where the construction tools up here, the work planes, become handy to kind of like be aware of how these works. And I know, man, that whenever you are learning a new CAD system, a CAM system, or whatever it is, you're really just trying to get to where you need to be, and you're kind of like just jumping in there, trying to get the job done, and sitting poking around. Sometimes, who have time for that, right? But I would recommend that you spend a couple of minutes just getting a little bit familiar with these different tools. I'm going to show you which one I think is important. So the first one is called Offset Plane, and that's the same button you see up on top, so you can just hit it. And what it will let us do is it will let us just grab a plane and just drag an offset distance out from a other plane. So it's kind of like just bringing it out here. And what that could kind of like let us do is now we can sketch on that. It's like we brought that piece of paper out. So now we can sketch on that. So if I right click on that and say create sketch, I might just go in and hit my S key and bring like something like a rectangle like this. So we kind of like sketched out on that piece of paper out there. Let's hit Q, and we could do to an object, and we could select that, select object, and select that face right there. And now we kind of sketched out here and made, attachment to the sphere. So this is kind of like how you would do that if you had to model something similar up to this, is that you would make an offset plane. So that is definitely the one you're using the most, probably also why it's up here on the toolbar. But that one is kind of handy. Another one that can be handy to know about is the plane at an angle. Now, look when I'm hovering over it, that the little gray box comes to the right. That will talk about, it's probably disappearing if I'm moving the mouse away. All right, so to the right of the menu here, there comes out a little box that will tell you actually what it's looking for. So that can help you a little bit. So planar of an angle. So if I, for example, go in here and I select an edge, look what I get. I get a plane that is attached to that edge. And then I could move it like this. So if I, for example, do minus 45 degrees, I now have kind of like a piece of paper sitting here, and that is how you many times would like model something like an angular hole, for example. So if I'm sketching on that piece of paper right there, see how that is sitting in 45 degrees, hit Q, whoops, hit Q, and if we draw that through there, now we have created kind of like an angular hole. So, normally we use like a compound angle or like a sine vise or something like that. That's how you can use that planar one. Tangent plane can be kind of handy too. If we go in here, oh, and by the way, one other thing I should say, if I turn on the origin here again, if I decide I want to sketch on one of these planes, you can sketch, of course, outside them. So if I right click here and create a sketch, it shows the plane right here, but I mean I can sketch, all the way over here if I want to, right? There's no rules about that. So let me just make a little cylinder here, and I hide the bodies folder. That's why we don't see it. Okay, so now we kind of like have a tube there. So the tangent plane is kind of handy with that. Is if you select tangent plane and you select there, now you get a plane that will be tangent to that radius again. And another thing I should probably say is it's not uncommon that you place a tangent plane like this, and then right after you create an offset plane from that. I'm going to show you that in a second, a scenario to use that in. So that's not uncommon that you like offsetting a plane after you placed a plane. And by the way, they're all appearing over here in the construction folder, so you can turn on and off whatever you kind of want in here, so you can turn these different planes on and off. Okay, hope this is kind of helpful. Another one that you definitely should know about is the midplane. So the midplane will let you select two faces. So if I select this face and I select this face, then I get a plane right in the center of the box here. And that can be nice. We talked about before when we were modeling things up to do symmetry. So if I just open a new file here and we start with a new sketch, should you do your rectangle from the center here, so you get the symmetry thing, or you could also decide to do something like a 2-point rectangle like this. And if I extrude this out, you will see that when I turn my origin on, that I now have the origin sitting down here, and symmetry is suddenly, if I got to do something with this box, then using the mid plane can be extremely helpful. Now you have a plane that goes right through that one. You can now start sketching on. Cool. Moving right ahead here. So the other one there's another one place a plane through two edges. So that will let you create a plane that goes through two edges. So if I select this edge and I select this edge, then I get a plane that cuts right through those two edges. Pretty straightforward. Now the next one here was actually the one that I got a question, and I should have looked up the name on last night. And I would use the plane through 3 points. So this was the question yesterday. So I have a cube. Hit the S key, and I'm going to make this one 3 by 3 inches, like this. And let's make it 3 inches thick, like this. And then if we use, the person wanted to kind of like chop off, make a flat on this corner in here. So if we're using the plane through 3 points, we can select this point, we can select this point and this point, and then we get a plane that cuts through those, because it cuts through the 3 planes. Now here I would use what I used before, the offset plane, to move it up a little bit because the person was just wanted that little tip up here cut off. And here's actually maybe a little tip for this. There is in the modify drop down, there's something called split body, and you can actually use a plane to split a body. So if I select split body, I can select that second plane, the offset plane I just created right here. First it says what is the body to split. I'm going to select the body, and the splitting tool will be that second plane I created, and hit OK. Now you will actually see over in my bodies folder that I now have two different bodies, and if I hide this one, I ended up with what the person was asking me to do. Now you could also over here, of course, you don't have to hide this. You could actually go in and you could actually physically remove that body totally, and now we're back to one body. But that's one way to use the 3-point. I hope that was kind of helpful. The 3-point through sitting right here. Plane tangent to face at a point, and I gotta show the plane along a path. That might be kind of interesting too. The plane tangent to face at a point, I think is pretty standard. It's just like the tangent plane, but now you have it going through a point. Let me show you the plane along a path. I don't want this to take too long. Let's open up another sketch on this plane over here. Let me show you something pretty cool. And here we should maybe talk about splines at another time, but let's just do a 4 point here. 4-point spline. Okay, so we got that one right there. So there we have our spline. And like I said, splines may be something we should talk about another time. Now check this out. Plane along a path. If I select that and I select this, it will make a plane that's going to follow that path. Now this is how you can make some pretty neat shapes. So if I go up here and I place it all the way up at the end, and for example, I'm going to create a sketch on that plane. Let's do a circle, Z for circle, like this. Now if I'm going to say, not Q, but if we go in now, we could use something like a sweep. And I could select the circle as our profile, and then this as a path. And now we kind of created, I don't know, part of a garden hose, a handle, something like that. So that was the plane along a path. But it's actually kind of cool that it was just following along that. Hope this is helpful, guys. You can see we got a bunch of people in here, so that's good. Hopefully people stick around. So yeah, these planes in here that you see in here, definitely go in and experiment with these a little bit and just get somewhat familiar with them, because they can really help you, often. Like the offset a plane, the plane along an angle, mid plane, that is definitely 3 ones you should feel pretty comfortable with. Now the ones down here, the axis one that I want to talk a little bit about, can be handy too to use for different tools. So the first one I think is pretty straightforward, an axis through a cylinder. So if I select that one and I select the cylinder, you get an axis through. An axis, many times you can use them for if you're doing revolve, is many times where you will use those. Axis perpendicular at a point. I think that a lot of these are kind of interesting. So select a face and you get an axis that is perpendicular to that face wherever you click. I'm not quite sure when you would use that one, because it places the axis wherever your mouse is. Now perpendicular is great, but look at this. If I select over here, it places it right where my mouse is, but it's not moving around. So that's one of them. Now the other one you maybe want to know about in here too, there is something like axis through 2 planes. So that can be kind of handy if you created a couple of planes. Now my mouse just, I don't know if it just died on me. Woo! Zoom in here. So you know how we created, this is the great things about being live, right? We created that plane going vertical. We created the plane that was in an angle. And if we select those two, we actually get an axis right through that. So that can be kind of handy too. So know that these construction tools can be extremely handy for that. Now, I'm going to let you kind of like play around with the rest of them. Like I said, you have the different options in there, but that's definitely, I would say the axis through two planes, the axis through a cylinder, that many people are using that one, mid-plane, plane on an angle, and the offset plane are definitely some you should be somewhat familiar with. All right, guys, we are at the 20-minute mark. So I hope this was kind of helpful to just kind of like run through these. Definitely, you should be, spend just, 5 minutes on it and just, now I know where those are, so you can utilize them when you're deciding. So whenever you're kind of like hitting a snag at some point where you're a little bit like, I'm stuck, think about the maybe planes is maybe what you need, because you got to remember you can only sketch on either a face or a plane. And many times you don't have a plane or a face available, then you got to go with the plane here. So let me just check the comments quickly here. Just make sure that nobody have any questions. We should cover here. No problem if you're joining late. This is being recorded as always. So don't worry about that. You can always catch that up on the YouTube channel, and that's awesome. We got people from Australia. We got people from Turkey. That is so awesome. So happy that you guys are taking the time out of your day to join this. Oh, that reminds me of another thing I just quickly wanted to talk about. That is, some people are telling me that I announced that this week I'm scheduling the live streams, and some people are saying that they don't get notifications. I think, and I'm not 100% sure about this, but I did look on YouTube yesterday, that it's up in the suggestion of what to watch next. So you will not get an email directly from YouTube every time I schedule one, because I think that if I could sit down and schedule 50 of these, right, for every week, and you will get spam. So I think they're kind of like staying away from that. But that's where you can actually go up and find them. So what to watch next section in YouTube somewhere, there you can set a reminder for the next one. And I will schedule the next one in just as soon as we're done with this live stream here in a few minutes. But I thought about yesterday that why am I not telling you, since I'm scheduling, am I not letting you know when the next one is? So the next one is tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. So that's Eastern Standard Time, New York City time aligned. We're going to do that at 10. And the topic is going to be talking about file types. So we're going to talk about IGES and STAP and kind of like talking a little bit about surfacing too and solid modeling. Definitely think that if you have not seen anything, I have a deep knowledge in that, I think you will get a couple of fun facts out of that one. And then on Friday, we're going to do 2 p.m. Eastern, because I'm in Buffalo, New York, so that's Eastern Standard Time. Again, same time zone as New York City. And that one, we're going to do about 4-axis CAM. So if you're not into CAM, and that doesn't interest you at all, then skip Friday. Don't bother sit through something that's going to just be CAM. So I hope that was helpful. All right, guys. Again, I hope that talking about the work planes, definitely something you should get familiar with. Flashy Wednesday. This is the 5th axis. Talked a little bit about their work holding, what I think is pretty genius for small workspaces. That is pretty cool versus like these big vices that sticks outside your working envelope. So that is the, I guess, tip or whatever. And again, like I said, I'm not being paid or endorse any of these products at all. It was just, I thought it was pretty cool. And I met the guys at IMTS, and they were cool people too. So yeah. Hope that was helpful. I'm going to do as I normally do here. I am going to stop the broadcast. So if you're watching the recording, thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Don't forget my email address is down in the description area. If there's any specific topic you want on these live streams, go ahead and send me an email. And I'm going to jump into the chat here and just say hi to the folks in there. So until the next time, have an awesome day.